Today we are going to be looking at different kinds of maps. I want everyone to pause the video and take a minute or two to answer these two questions. Okay, so what did you notice that is very different about this map? If you said that the countries look distorted or some are bigger than others, you're completely correct. So what this map is showing is the population of 5 to 14-year-olds in different countries around the world. It does this by showing some countries as being much larger than others. So the focus question for today is, what can we learn from reference and thematic maps? The learning goals are: I can identify a reference and thematic map, I can compare and contrast thematic and reference maps, and I can evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of different types of maps. Setting the stage. So maps are the most important tool of a geographer. No tool communicates spatial information more effectively than a map. They are essential in highlighting and analyzing patterns. There are two broad categories of maps: reference maps and thematic maps. Reference maps are aptly named because they are designed for people to refer to for general information about places. There are two main types of reference maps: political maps and physical maps. Thematic maps show spatial aspects of information or of a phenomenon. There are many different types of thematic maps. The most common are choropleth maps, dot distribution maps, graduated symbol maps, isoline maps, and cartograms. So the first type of map we're looking at is political maps. Political maps show and label human-created boundaries. They display countries, states, cities, and capitals. This is the map that you're all probably most familiar with. It's probably been on every wall in every social studies class you've ever had. Physical maps show and label natural features and/or geographic features such as mountains, rivers, and deserts. Choropleth maps are a little bit less common. They use various shades of one color or patterns to show the location and distribution of spatial data. They use quantitative data, which is information that can be measured. Dot distribution maps show the specific location and distribution of something across the territory of the map. Each dot represents a quantity, and other symbols could be used, such as triangles, the outline of a house, or animals. In this map, I thought it was a little bit funny. One dot equals 500 goats. So this map is a visual representation of all of the goats in the United States. Graduated symbol maps use symbols of different sizes to indicate different amounts of something. The larger the size of the symbol, it means there's more of something. The smaller the size, it means that there's less of that something. The map key is used to determine the exact amount. Isoline maps use lines that connect points of equal value to depict variations in data. When the lines are closer together, it means there is a rapid change. When the lines are further apart, the phenomenon is staying the same. Examples of this are weather maps, climate maps, temperature maps, and precipitation maps. All of those that you've seen on the Weather Channel or weather.com, they're all isoline maps. The most common type of isoline map is a topographic map. If anyone was ever in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, they've probably seen this type of map. It's the type of map that you use when you go hiking. It uses contour lines to display elevation. Cartograms are also not so common. Uh, the size of countries, states, or counties on the map are shown according to a specific statistic. The size of a place reflects the data provided. Uh, an important one that I think to include is mental maps. Uh, they are a mix of objective knowledge and subjective perceptions. A person's impression of a place, rough estimates of size and location. They show a person's internal perception of space. So this is our mid-lesson checkpoint. So again, pause, answer the question, and then we will go over it. So what are some of the similarities and differences between map types? Okay, so all of the maps that we just looked at are trying to be the best at representing the information that they are showing us. But some maps are better at showing certain types of information than others. So, as an example, if we go back to the dot distribution map, so this is all the goats in the United States. This map does a really good job of showing the density of where all of the goats in the United States are located. By looking at this map, you can tell that Texas has a really large portion of goats. If you go to the graduated symbol map, this map does a really, really good job at showing which countries have the most McDonald's on our planet. The United States, by far, has the most. You can't see it, but the really big dot on the right side of the map is covering Japan, and then it makes sense that there's no dots in Africa because most of the countries in Africa don't have McDonald's. You wouldn't necessarily use a dot distribution map to show this because it might not be as effective at conveying this information. It might be, but using these graduated symbols, it's very, very clear as to what the person that made this map is trying to show. Same thing goes for the dot distribution map. It's very clear what the density is and where all of the goats are located in the United States. Okay. So, the application activity, I want you to analyze the coronavirus. So, analyze the following 3 maps that show coronavirus worldwide. Detail why each map can show the best display of information and the worst display of information. So, the 3 maps are going to be a dot distribution map, a graduated symbol map, and a choropleth map. For your homework, you're going to fill out this graphic organizer and say why each of these maps may be the best display of information and why each map may be the worst display of information. Also, something for next class that I want everyone to think about is how can maps be deceiving?